Once upon a time, in a land far away, there lived a beautiful princess named Snow White. She had skin as white as snow, lips as red as roses, and hair as black as ebony. Snow White's stepmother, the wicked queen, was jealous of her beauty and would often ask her magic mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And every time, the mirror would reply, "Snow White is the fairest of them all." One day, the jealous queen couldn't bear Snow White's beauty any longer. She plotted with a huntsman to take Snow White into the deepest part of the forest and kill her. The huntsman, who had a kind heart, couldn't bring himself to harm the princess. Instead, he told her to run far away and never return. Snow White bravely ventured into the unknown, filled with fear but hoping for a brighter future. As Snow White wandered through the seemingly endless forest, she stumbled upon a small cottage. The cottage was so tiny, it belonged to 7 little dwarfs who worked in the mines all day. Snow White peered inside and saw that it was empty. She decided to enter and rest for a while, unaware that the dwarfs were about to return home. When the 7 dwarfs arrived, they were surprised to see Snow White sleeping in their beds. But instead of being angry, they were touched by her innocence and beauty. The dwarfs decided to let her stay and welcomed her into their home. Snow White promised to keep the house clean and cook delicious meals for them. Meanwhile, the wicked queen discovered that Snow White was still alive. Consumed by jealousy, she disguised herself as an old woman and came up with a plan to get rid of the princess once and for all. The queen made a poisoned apple and traveled to the dwarf's cottage. With deceit in her heart, the queen offered Snow White the poisoned apple. Snow White, unaware of the wicked queen's true identity, took a bite and fell into a deep sleep. The dwarfs arrived back home, just in time to witness this dreadful event. They were devastated and placed Snow White in a beautiful glass coffin, hoping that one day a prince would come to awaken her. Weeks turned into months, and the forest became a cold and desolate place. One day, a handsome prince riding through the forest noticed the glass coffin and the sleeping beauty inside. He was captivated by Snow White's beauty and wanted to wake her up with a true love's kiss. The prince leaned in, hesitated for a moment, and gently pressed his lips against Snow White's. Suddenly, magic filled the air, and Snow White opened her eyes, awakening from her eternal slumber. The dwarfs were overjoyed as Snow White and the prince exchanged smiles and embraces. Snow White's kindness, purity, and loving heart won her the prince's love forever. The wicked queen's jealousy was defeated, and Snow White and the prince lived happily ever after in their kingdom, surrounded by friends and loved ones. And so, dear children, this is the magical tale of Snow White, a princess whose beauty shone beyond the wicked queen's envy. Remember, true beauty lies within, and kindness can overcome any darkness.